There is a kind of humiliation that follows a person home. Seo Ha-jun knows it well. 3 years loving the most feared man in the city, and somehow always the most foolish person in the room. Every unanswered letter, every returned confession, every cruel word dressed up as indifference. Then one night, Jang Taeyuk reached into his wallet, counted out a stack of bills, and threw them into Ha-jun's hand. Like love was something that could be paid off. Like Ha-jun was a commons side piece. The whole city laughed at him. So Ha-jun did the only thing left to do. He stopped loving. He married someone else. And on his wedding day, the man who never once chose him walked through the door. This is that story.
Chapter 1. Ha-jun's Point of View. You may kiss your husband. The room explodes. I feel Min-woo's hands cup my face before I even process the sound. The applause, the cheering, the sharp joyful screams tearing through the ballroom from every direction. His lips meet mine, warm, certain, public. When he pulls back, his brown eyes are bright and glassy, and he is smiling so wide it looks like his face might split open. We did it, he whispers against my lips. We actually did it. We did, I say. My voice comes out perfectly. My smile holds. My eyes crinkle at exactly the right moment. But nobody in this ballroom sees anything wrong. My chest feels like an empty room with all the furniture removed. The reception pulls us in immediately. Guests rush forward in waves. My aunt grabs both my hands and bursts into tears. An old colleague from my wedding design firm wraps me in a hug that nearly lifts me off the floor. I say thank you so much for coming, and we're so happy. And yes, it was a beautiful ceremony, until the words stop meaning anything at all, and become just sounds my mouth produces automatically while the rest of me stands somewhere very far away, watching all of this happen to someone who looks exactly like me. Ha-jun, come. My mother wants a photograph with both of us, Min-woo says, close to my ear. His hand finds the small of my back, steady, warm, proprietary. Give me 1 minute. I touch his arm lightly. I just need a breath. He studies my face. His eyes move across mine slowly, the way they do when he is deciding whether to push. Are you all right? I'm fine. I lift my champagne glass and smile at him. Go ahead. I'll be right behind you. He holds my gaze 1 beat longer than necessary. Then he nods and turns back toward his family. I exhale for the first time in what feels like an hour. I turn toward the nearest window, just needing one single moment of stillness inside all this noise and warmth and golden light, and that is when my eyes find the entrance arch at the far end of the ballroom. A man is standing there, black suit, open collar, and crawling up from beneath that collar, across his neck, dark elaborate ink that I would recognize from across any room in any city, in any version of my life. My stomach drops straight through the floor. My fingers go cold around the champagne flute. Every sound in the ballroom, the music, the laughter, the clinking glasses, the string quartet, pulls back like water before a wave, and all I can hear is my own heartbeat slamming against the inside of my chest. Jang Tae-hyuk. He is standing completely still while every guest around him moves and laughs and celebrates. His black eyes cut straight across the crowded room and find mine with the kind of precision that tells me he located me the second he walked through that door. He is not smiling. He is not speaking to anyone. He is just standing there in that black suit with those tattooed hands loose at his sides and those dark eyes fixed on me with an expression I have never once seen on his face in 3 years of loving him and being destroyed by him. He looks terrified, like a man staring at something already bygone, only now understanding what he had in his hands before he let it fall. Ha-jun? Someone touches my elbow from the right. Are you feeling? The champagne glass slips from my fingers. It hits the marble and the sound is sharp and total and sudden. Crystal exploding outward across the white floor. Fragments scattering beneath the shoes of nearby guests. Every conversation within 10 feet cuts off instantly. Heads turn. Eyes find me. The groom in the white embroidered suit standing frozen, hands still curved around nothing. Min-woo is already pushing back through the crowd toward me. Ha-jun. But I am not looking at Min-woo. I am looking at the man standing at the entrance of my wedding reception. The man who rejected me every single time I offered him my heart. The man who took my love and handed me money in return. The man who never once chose me. And for the first time in 3 years, Jang Tae-hyuk looks like he is the one breaking apart.
Chapter 2, Taeyok's Point of View. It was 1 week to the wedding, and I didn't notice Ha-jun was already slipping. I have meetings. I have men to manage, territories to maintain, phone calls that last 3 hours and solve nothing. My schedule runs from 6 in the morning until past midnight, and there is no space in it for noticing absences. The second day, something is off, but I cannot name it. I eat breakfast alone, which is not unusual. I work through lunch, which is not unusual. I check my phone 4 times between 2 meetings, which I tell myself is simply a habit, a reflex, nothing more. The third day, I check my phone 11 times before noon. Sir, my head of security, Park Do-yoon, sets a report on my desk and straightens. He is a careful man, observant. He has worked for me long enough to know when to speak and when to stay quiet. Right now, he is doing neither, just standing at the edge of my desk with his hands clasped behind his back, waiting. What? I say without looking up. You've been looking at your phone every 20 minutes since yesterday. He raises a brow. I'm expecting a report from the Southern District. The Southern District report came in at 9 this morning, sir. You signed off on it yourself. I look up at him. He holds my gaze without flinching, which is one of the reasons I pay him what I pay him. Is there something else you need, Do-yoon? I ask. No, sir. He shakes his head, then get out. He leaves. I look at my phone again the moment the door closes. Nothing. I set it face down on the desk. I pick up the document in front of me. I read the same paragraph 4 times without absorbing a single word. By the 4th day, I am irritated. Genuinely, unreasonably irritated, the kind that sits behind my eyes and makes every conversation feel like an interruption. My men give me more space than usual. Meetings run shorter. Nobody volunteers opinions they aren't directly asked for. The atmosphere in my building shifts the way it always does when I am in a mood, quiet and careful and slightly electric, like the air before a storm. I tell myself I am irritated about the Eastern District situation. I tell myself it is business pressure. I tell myself it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Seo Ha-jun has not sent me a single message in 4 days. By the 5th day, I stop pretending. I am sitting in my office at 11 at night, the city spread out below my window in its usual blaze of light, and I am staring at a conversation thread on my phone that ended 1 week ago. A short message, cheerful, completely unanswered, the way all his messages are unanswered, the way I trained him to expect nothing from me. There is no new message beneath it. There is no birthday note, no small photograph of something he spotted and thought I would like, no handwritten card. Nothing. Just silence where there used to be something I never acknowledged needing. Sir, Do-yoon's voice comes through the intercom. Your 9 o'clock meeting is about to begin. Push it. A pause. Sir, this is the 3rd meeting this week. Push it, Do-yoon. The intercom goes silent. I lean back in my chair and I look at the ceiling, and I try to remember the last time Ha-jun went more than 3 days without reaching out. I go back through 3 years of memories and I find nothing. Not once. Through every rejection, through every cruel word I put between us like a wall, through every time I handed him back his own love like it was something I didn't want, he always came back. Always, until now, 6 days, then 7. A full week of silence that feels nothing like the quiet I built my entire life around. On the morning of the 8th day, Do-yoon walks into my office without knocking. He sets an envelope on my desk. Cream-colored, formal, my name written across the front in careful lettering. I open it. A wedding invitation slides out onto my desk. Seo Ha-jun and Cha Min-woo tomorrow. The word hits me like a bullet I didn't hear coming. Ha-jun is getting married.
Chapter 3. Ha-jun's Point of View. It started with one night I was never supposed to remember. A charity gala. Too much whiskey. A man in a black suit who looked at me from across the room, like I, was either the most interesting thing he had seen all evening or the most dangerous. I still don't know which one it was. What I know is that at 2 in the morning, I was in his hotel room, and Jang Tae-hyuk, the most feared alpha in the city, was holding my face in both hands, like I was something fragile he didn't know what to do with. You should leave, he said. You should stop looking at me like that if you want me to. I said. He didn't stop. I didn't leave. By morning, the bed beside me was empty. No note, no number. Nothing except the indent of his head still pressed into the pillow, and the faint smell of his cologne on the sheets. I lay there for a long moment staring at the ceiling, and I told myself it meant nothing. But I kept seeing his hands shaking when he reached for me the second time. Not from desire, from something older than that. Something that looked like a man grabbing onto the only solid thing in a room that was spinning. That was not a man who felt nothing. That was a man who was terrified of how much he felt. And I made the worst decision of my life. I decided to find out why. 3 months later, I knew his schedule, his building, his habits. Not in a dangerous way. In the way you learn someone when you cannot stop thinking about them, no matter how many times you tell yourself to. Young-ho, my friend, noticed before I admitted it to myself. You're researching him, Young-ho said, looking over my shoulder at my laptop one evening with an expression somewhere between horror and disbelief. I'm being informed, Ha-jun. He runs the most feared syndicate in this city. People disappear around that man. People also misunderstand him. Oh my god. Jung-ho sat down heavily. You like him. I don't just like him. Jung-ho stared at me for a very long time. Please tell me you're joking. I closed the laptop. I'm going to confess to him. You are going to get yourself killed. I'm going to confess to him, I repeated. He threw a pillow at my face. The first confession happened on a Tuesday. It was raining. I stood outside his office building for 40 minutes with water soaking through my jacket and my rehearsed words dissolving in my head one by one until I had nothing left except the raw truth. When he finally came through the glass doors, surrounded by 3 of his men, he stopped the second he saw me. His men stopped with him. I walked straight up to him. I love you, I said. I know you know. But I needed to say it to your face so you couldn't pretend you never heard it. Something moved behind his eyes. There and gone in less than a second. Then he reached into his jacket, pulled out his wallet, counted out a stack of bills with the calm efficiency of a man handling a minor inconvenience, and pressed them into my hand. Don't confuse one night with love, he said. I looked down at the money sitting in my palm. The rain hit it in small cold drops. One of his men looked at the ground. Another turned away entirely. I pressed every single bill back into Tae-hyuk's hand and closed his fingers around it. Keep it, I said. You clearly need it more than I do. Then I walked away. I made it 1 block. Then I stopped and pressed my back against a wall and stood in the rain until my legs stopped shaking. By the next morning, the story was everywhere. The Omega, who confessed to the Mafia Alpha and got handed cash like a business problem. Jung-ho appeared at my door that night with food in one hand and barely contained rage in the other. Tell me you're done, he said the second I opened the door. Look me in the eye and tell me you are done with this man. I let him in. I ate the food. I said nothing. He knew exactly what my silence meant. 3 weeks later, I sent Tae-hyuk a birthday message. No reply. Then a letter. Then a small gift. Then another confession, quieter, slipped under his office door in a plain envelope. Every few months I returned. Every single time he turned me away. Sometimes with silence, sometimes with cold words that landed like open hands. Once so brutally that I sat in my parked car outside his building and could not remember how to make myself drive home. That night I held my phone and stared at Jung-ho's name on the screen for a long time. I was done. I could feel it in my body the way you feel the end of something. Heavy and final and exhausted all the way down to the bone. My thumb hovered. Then I put the phone away. One more time, I told myself. One final confession. And if he turns me away again, I will never go back. I just needed him to hear it one last time. That was what I always say to myself, and I keep going back to that man.
Chapter 4, Tae-hyuk's Point of View. The wedding was this morning. It is now past midnight, and the bottle on my desk is nearly empty, and Do-yoon has knocked 4 times in the last 2 hours. Sir, his voice comes through the door, 3 calls waiting. The Eastern District needs a decision by go home, Do-yoon. Sir, go home, footsteps. Then silence. I pour another drink, staggering as I cross to the far wall behind the bookshelf, press the panel, and the safe opens. I stand there looking at everything inside before I reach in. 3 years of letters. Photographs with notes written on the backs in his precise handwriting, cards. Small gifts still in their original wrapping because I could not open them and could not throw them away. Everything he ever sent me, locked behind a false wall, like evidence of something I did to myself deliberately. I carry everything to my desk. I sit down. I open the first letter. His voice comes off the page and physically hurts. The memories don't wait. They come forward fast and merciless. I remember the rain. I remember turning and seeing him standing outside my building, soaked through his jacket, hands in his pockets, his face completely unguarded in a way that made something in my chest seize. I remember his words, I love you, I know you know. But I needed to say it to your face so you couldn't pretend you never heard it. I remember my hand going into my jacket, counting the bills, pressing them into his hand, watching his face move through confusion, then humiliation, then something quieter and worse than both. Don't confuse one night with love, I said. I remember walking back into my building, the elevator, locking my office door, taking 3 steps toward my desk before my stomach revolted so violently I barely got the trash can in time. I remember kneeling on my own office floor, shaking, one hand braced against the desk leg, trying to remember how to breathe. Because what I had just done to him was unforgivable, and I did it on purpose. I have ordered things in my life that cost people everything and never once knelt on a floor shaking. One Omega standing in the rain undid me completely. That should have told me something. It did tell me something. That was exactly the problem. Because the last time I let someone matter that much, I learned exactly what it cost them. His name was Park Soo-young, 24 years old, 3 years in my organization. Somewhere along the way, I made the mistake of letting him close enough that the wrong people noticed. The rival syndicate took him on a Thursday. They returned him dead on a Sunday. There was a message in his jacket pocket. "Anyone you love dies." 4 words that rewrote every decision I have made since that Sunday. I built walls. I maintained them. I told myself it was discipline, strategy, the price of the life I chose. Then Seo Ha-jun crashed into me in a hotel corridor and looked up at me with zero fear in his eyes, and everything I built started cracking. Every rejection was a wall. Every cruel word was a locked door. Every time I handed him back his love, I was choosing his survival over my need to keep him. I reached the bottom of the pile, the final letter, dated a week before the wedding invitation arrived on my desk. My hands are not entirely steady when I open it. I read every word, then I read them again. Then I sit back and look at the ceiling. In 3 years of receiving every letter, every gift, every confession he was brave enough to send me, I never answered a single one.
Chapter 5. Ha-jun's Point of View. Minwoo, my now husband, was there the night I came home from the rain. I didn't call him. I just opened my door, and he was already in my kitchen making ramyeon. He looked at me, soaked, hands unsteady, and said nothing. He pulled out a chair, set a bowl down. Let the silence be what it needed to be. That was Minwoo. After the second rejection, he was there. After the third. After the night I sat in my car outside Tae Hyok's building, unable to drive. He showed up at my parking spot with a jacket and his car keys and drove me home without asking a single question. "You don't have to explain anything," he told me that night. "I'm just here." He was always just there. While Tae Hyok was handing me back my love like an inconvenience, Minwoo was showing up, consistently, quietly, without condition or expectation or an agenda I could see. Young-ho liked him. My aunt adored him. Everyone in my life agreed that Cha Min-woo was exactly the kind of man I deserved. I agreed with all of them. I just couldn't make my heart agree. 2 years passed, then 3. I kept confessing to Tae Hyok and getting nothing back, and coming home to find Min-woo already there. With food, with patience, with that steady calm that never once wavered, no matter how many times I showed up broken over another man. "Why do you keep doing this to yourself?" Min-woo asked me one evening. We were sitting on my apartment floor eating takeout after what had been a particularly brutal rejection. I had not told him the details. He had not asked. "Because I believe in him," I said. Min-woo was quiet for a moment. "And what about someone who believes in you?" I looked at him. He was already looking at me, carefully, steadily, the way he always looked at me. Like I was worth the patience. Like I was worth the wait. I didn't answer him that night. The final confession happened on a Friday evening outside Tae Hyok's building. I had rehearsed nothing. I was exhausted. When Tae Hyok came through the doors and saw me, he stopped. His men stopped. The same scene. The same positions, like a photograph we had taken too many times. "Go home, Ha-jun," he said. His voice was not cruel, which was somehow worse. "I just need you to tell me something," I said. "Honestly, once. Do you feel nothing? Because if you genuinely feel nothing, then I will walk away right now, and I will never come back. But if you feel something, anything, then tell me, because I am so tired." He looked at me for a long moment. "Go home," he said again. I nodded. I turned around and I went home. I sat in my apartment that night in complete silence, and I felt something I had never felt through any of the previous rejections. Just done. Completely, quietly, finally done. Like a light that had been flickering for years, finally going out without drama. Just darkness. My phone lit up. Minwoo's name. "Are you okay?" I stared at the message for a long time. Then I called him. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey, talk to me." "I'm done," I said. "I'm actually done this time." He didn't say "I told you so." He didn't say anything for a moment. Then, "Do you want company?" "Yes," I said. He was at my door in 20 minutes. We talked until 3 in the morning. About nothing important. About everything that wasn't Tae Hyok, and somewhere around 2 a.m. I looked at Minwoo sitting on my apartment floor with his back against my couch and his coffee going cold beside him, and I thought, this is what it feels like to be chosen, every single day without being asked. 6 months later, he proposed over dinner. Nothing dramatic. Just the two of us and a small box and his steady eyes across the table. "I'm not asking you to stop loving him," Minwoo said quietly. "I'm asking you to let someone love you back." My throat tightened. "Okay," I said, and I meant it. I just didn't know yet what my acceptance was going to cost me.
Chapter 6, Taeyok's Point of View. 3 weeks after the wedding, and I am still parked outside his house, same spot, same black sedan. Same view of the second floor window where the light stays on until 11 every night. I sit here and I watch and I tell myself each time that tonight is the last night. That tomorrow I will go back to my life and my work and my organization and I will accept what I allowed to happen. Then 11 o'clock comes, the light goes off, and I sit in the dark for another hour anyway. Do-yoon stops pretending he doesn't know where I disappear to every night. He just sets my morning schedule 2 hours later than usual and says nothing. My other men are less careful. Boss hasn't signed the Eastern Territory papers. I hear one of them tell another outside my office door. 3rd week running. Don't be the one to bring it up. Someone has to, not me. I stop sleeping properly. I stop eating properly. The bottle that used to last me a week lasts me 2 days. Then one night the light goes off and something in me just snaps. I get out of the car, I walk across the street, up the front path, and I knock on the door before the rational part of my brain can stop the rest of me. Footsteps inside, then the door opens. Minwoo stands there in a home shirt and bare feet, a glass of water in one hand, looking at me with the calm expression of a man who is completely unsurprised. His eyes move from my face down to my hands and back up again. He takes a slow sip of his water. I wondered when you'd finally get out of the car, he says. I need to speak with Hajun. Hajun is sleeping, then wake him. Minwoo smiles. It is the most polite, most dangerous smile I have seen on a civilian in years. You know what I find interesting? He says, leaning one shoulder against the doorframe. You had 3 years. 3 years of that man showing up for you in the rain, slipping letters under your door, sending you gifts you apparently kept but never acknowledged. He tilts his head. And you couldn't be bothered. But now that he's mine, he lets that word sit. Now you're parked outside my house every night like some kind of careful, I say quietly. You should come sooner, he says it simply, pleasantly, like he is commenting on the weather. That's all. You just should come sooner. Something tears loose inside my chest. I push the door open. Minwoo doesn't back away, I'll give him that. He straightens and puts the glass down on the hallway table and squares up with a steadiness that tells me this is not the first difficult situation this man has navigated. But I am not a difficult situation. I am 3 weeks of no sleep and 3 years of wrong decisions and a level of controlled fury that his steady eyes have no framework for. Get out of my house. This should have been my house, I say. That should have been my life. And you know it. He knows it. Everybody knows it. But it isn't. Minwoo steps forward. Is it? The first punch is his. I'll give him that too. What follows is not clean. A hallway table goes over. Something ceramic hits the floor and shatters. Minwoo is stronger than he looks and angrier than his pleasant face advertises, and for 30 seconds we are 2 men destroying a hallway over one person neither of us deserves. Then stop. We both freeze. Hajun is standing at the bottom of the stairs in a white shirt, hair disheveled, eyes moving between the two of us and the destroyed hallway with an expression that is not shock. It is something quieter and more devastating than shock. Like a man looking at the exact proof of something he already knew. Hajun, I step forward. Let me explain. Everything, the money, the rejections, all of it. There are things you don't know and I need you to. Don't. His voice is low, controlled. Don't you dare stand in my home and ask me to listen. Please. Do you know what you did to me? His voice cracks on the last word and he stops and presses his lips together and breathes. When he speaks again it is quieter and somehow that makes it worse. I stood in the rain for you. I walked back to you after every single thing you did. I handed you my heart over and over and over and you treated it like a problem to be solved. His eyes are bright. I almost disappeared trying to love you. The silence that follows is the loudest thing I have ever heard. Leave, he says. Please just leave. I open my mouth. Tae Hyok. His voice breaks on my name. Please, I leave. I walk back down the front path in the rain and I get into my car and I sit there with blood on my lip and my hands shaking against the steering wheel and I wait. 5 minutes, 10, 20, the front door stays closed. For the first time in 3 years of pushing him away, of rejecting him, of handing back every piece of love he offered me, Hajun didn't come after me.
Chapter 7. Hajun's Point of View. The morning after Tae Hyuk leaves, Minwoo makes breakfast like nothing happened. I sit across from him. We need to talk about last night. He doesn't look up. Eat your breakfast. Minwoo, you look terrible, by the way. You've looked terrible for weeks. He turns a page. I don't know what he did to you, but whatever it was, it shows. What he did to me, 3 years. He finally looks up. That man rejected you for 3 years, Hajun. 3 years of you chasing someone who couldn't even be bothered to answer a single message. He tilts his head. What does that tell you about yourself? The question lands like a slap. Excuse me? I'm serious. What kind of person spends 3 years begging someone to love them? He picks up his coffee and then has the nerve to look surprised when that same person shows up at our door like he's owed something. He shakes his head. It's embarrassing. For both of you, I push back from the table. Sit down. I'm not sit. Down. His voice doesn't rise. It never rises. I'm not finished. I sit, and I hate myself for sitting. I married you, he says, after everything. After watching you humiliate yourself over a man who paid you off like a debt. After 3 years of you coming home, broken over someone who clearly didn't think you were worth his time. He leans forward. I chose you anyway. And this is what I get? That's not. Do you know how many people told me not to? He laughs quietly. My brother. My mother. Everyone said Hajun is not over him. Hajun is still in love with someone else. Hajun is going to hurt you. He sits back. I defended you every single time. My throat is tight. Minwoo, he didn't want you. His voice drops. Quiet, deliberate. For 3 years, that man looked at everything you offered him and decided it wasn't worth having. And you, he points at me. You turned that into a love story. He shakes his head slowly. That's not love, Hajun. That's a lack of self-respect. I cannot speak. I took a chance on someone another man threw away, he continues. I think the very least you owe me is to not have that man standing in our hallway at midnight. He picks his newspaper back up. Now eat your breakfast. The days that follow are worse. Every argument ends the same way. Every time I push back, every time I try to hold a boundary, Minwoo finds the same weapon and uses it with precision. He didn't want you. I did. Remember that. You're lucky someone was willing to try. I saw potential in you that clearly wasn't obvious to everyone. Don't make me regret being the one who stayed. I stopped pushing back. It is easier. I stopped calling Youngho as often because Youngho asks questions I don't have clean answers to, and I am tired of hearing my own life described out loud. I stopped looking in mirrors longer than necessary because Minwoo's voice has started living inside my own head now, quiet and reasonable and relentless. Maybe he's right. Maybe 3 years of rejection is information about me and not about Taehyuk. Maybe I should be grateful. One evening, I am standing in the kitchen staring at the front door. I don't realize how long I've been standing there until Minwoo's voice comes from behind me. What are you looking at? I turn. He is in the doorway, arms crossed, head tilted. Nothing, I say. Just thinking. He looks at the door, then at me. Then he walks into the kitchen slowly and stops directly in front of me and looks at my face for a long moment. You still love him, don't you? Not a question. I open my mouth. Nothing comes out. Minwoo nods slowly. Something moves behind his eyes. Not heartbreak, not jealousy. Something far colder and more deliberate than either. After everything I did for you, he says quietly. After everything you put me through. He steps closer. You still love the man who didn't think you were worth keeping. He lets that sit in the air between us. Then he walks away. And I stand in my kitchen alone, and the worst part, the part that breaks something deep and quiet inside me, is that I cannot tell anymore whether the shame I feel belongs to him or to me.
Chapter 8. Taehyuk's Point of View. They've been waiting, I say. They knew eventually I would show my hand. They just needed to see which direction it reached. I turn around, and I showed them. Dohyun says nothing. He is too professional to say what he is thinking, but I can see it. I want every available man on the Cha residence. Rotating, 24 hours, and if Minwoo, I don't care what Minwoo thinks. I care that nobody gets within 50 meters of that house without us knowing. I pick up the photograph again. Who else knows about this? 4 men, all trusted. Keep it that way. I set the photograph face down on my desk. What else? Dohyun hesitates. In 10 years of working for me, he has learned that hesitation costs more than directness. There have been inquiries, he says carefully, about Hajin specifically, his schedule, his workplace, his route between his studio and the Cha residence. He pauses. They're building a profile. How detailed? Detailed enough that they know he works late on Thursdays. Detailed enough that they know which coffee shop he stops at on his way in. I sit back down at my desk. They're going to use him, I say. Not just as a warning this time, they want leverage. Something they can hold over me while they move on the Eastern Territory. That would be my assessment as well. Has Hajin noticed anything? No indication. Minwoo? Also no indication. I open my desk drawer. I take out the photograph of Park Soo-young that I have kept for years, not as a memorial but as a reminder. A 24-year-old face looking at the camera with no idea what was coming. I set it beside the photograph of Hajun sleeping. 2 photographs, same enemy, same method, same message. I failed Soo-young because I didn't see it coming. I have no excuse this time. Sir, Dohyun's phone buzzes in his hand. He looks at the screen and something shifts in his face. Fast, controlled, but not fast enough. It's the team outside the Cha residence. I am already on my feet. What happened? He looks up. They've made their move. I am through the door before he finishes the sentence, my phone in one hand and my jacket in the other, moving down the corridor at a pace that sends every person in my path stepping sideways against the wall. I told myself for 3 years that loving me would get him killed. I was right. I just never accounted for the possibility that it would be my own love that pulled the trigger. A photograph arrives on a Monday morning. Do-hyun brings it in with the morning reports and sets it at the corner of my desk the way he sets everything, carefully, without comment. I open it. It was Ha-jun sleeping. The photograph is taken through a window, night vision. Clear enough that I can see the exact angle of his face against the pillow, the outline of his shoulder, the faint light from a hallway bleeding under a closed door. Clear enough that whoever took it was close. Close enough to touch the glass. I set the photograph down. I pick up my phone. Do-hyun, my office now. He is through the door in under a minute. He looks at the photograph on my desk, and his expression doesn't change, but something behind his eyes does. How long, I say, sir, how long have they been watching him? Do-hyun clasps his hands behind his back. We picked up unusual movement around the Cha residence approximately 9 days ago. 2 vehicles, rotating positions. Professional interval switching. 9 days, I look at him. You waited 9 days to tell me. We weren't certain it was directed at. 9 days, Do-hyun. He holds my gaze. Yes, sir. I stand up from my desk and walk to the window and look out at the city, and I think about the night I drove to Ha-jun's house. The night I got out of the car and walked up that front path and knocked on that door. I thought about how completely I had lost control of myself that night, how visible I had made everything I felt. Someone was watching that night. Someone saw exactly how I looked at him, exactly how I fought for him, exactly how I stood in the rain outside his door after he sent me away, unable to make myself leave. I did this. 3 years of careful rejection. 3 years of cruel words and returned letters and manufactured distance. All of it designed to keep him invisible to the people who would use him against me. 3 years of protecting him the only way I knew how. And I undid all of it in one night because I couldn't sit in my car anymore. It's the Kwan Syndicate, Do-hyun says from behind me. Yes, the same ones who murdered. Yes, I cut him off. Silence. They've been waiting, I say. They knew eventually I would show my hand. They just needed to see which direction it reached. I turn around, and I showed them. Do-hyun says nothing. He is too professional to say what he is thinking, but I can see it. I want every available man on the Cha residence. Rotating, 24 hours, and if Minwoo, I don't care what Minwoo thinks. I care that nobody gets within 50 meters of that house without us knowing. I pick up the photograph again. Who else knows about this? 4 men, all trusted. Keep it that way. I set the photograph face down on my desk. What else? Do-hyun hesitates. In 10 years of working for me, he has learned that hesitation costs more than directness. There have been inquiries, he says carefully, about Ha-jun specifically, his schedule, his workplace, his route between his studio and the Cha residence. He pauses. They're building a profile. How detailed? Detailed enough that they know he works late on Thursdays. Detailed enough that they know which coffee shop he stops at on his way in. I sit back down at my desk. They're going to use him, I say. Not just as a warning this time, they want leverage. Something they can hold over me while they move on the Eastern Territory. That would be my assessment as well. Has Ha-jun noticed anything? No indication. Minwoo? Also no indication. I open my desk drawer. I take out the photograph of Park Soo-young that I have kept for years, not as a memorial but as a reminder. A 24-year-old face looking at the camera with no idea what was coming. I set it beside the photograph of Ha-jun sleeping. 2 photographs, same enemy, same method, same message. I failed Soo-young because I didn't see it coming. I have no excuse this time. Sir, Do-hyun's phone buzzes in his hand. He looks at the screen and something shifts in his face. Fast, controlled, but not fast enough. It's the team outside the Cha residence. I am already on my feet. What happened? He looks up. They've made their move. I am through the door before he finishes the sentence, my phone in one hand and my jacket in the other, moving down the corridor at a pace that sends every person in my path stepping sideways against the wall. I told myself for 3 years that loving me would get him killed. I was right. I just never accounted for the possibility that it would be my own love that pulled the trigger.
Chapter 9. Ha-jun's point of view. I don't see them coming. 1 minute, I am walking to my car on a Thursday evening. The next minute, a black van pulls up and 2 men are out before I can react, and something covers my face and the street disappears. I wake up in a warehouse. Metal chair, zip ties around my wrist, 4 men, 1 bare bulb swinging overhead. The man directly in front of me is seated backwards on a chair, watching me with the relaxed expression of someone who has done this before. You were out longer than we expected. Lightweight. I say nothing. Do you know why you're here? He tilts his head. 3 years chasing a man who paid you off in the rain? Then you married someone else entirely. He leans forward. What exactly was the plan, Ha-jun? Laughter moves through the room. You're going to make 2 phone calls to save yourself. He produces my phone. First one, your husband. He presses dial and holds it to my ear. Ha-Jun. Minwoo's voice, flat, already irritated. Minwoo, listen to me carefully. I've been taken. I'm in a warehouse east of the city. Stop. Please, call the police. You're unbelievable. His voice drops. You've been looking for a reason to leave since he showed up at our door, and this is what you came up with. My hands are tied. If you want to go find him, just say that. Don't manufacture a crisis and expect me to perform concern. He hisses. After everything I did for you. This is embarrassing. Please. My voice cracks. Please just call someone. The line goes dead. The room is very quiet. Wow, the man says. He does not sound surprised. Second call. He turns the screen toward me. Jang Tae-hyuk. No, I say. Ha-Jun. He won't come. The words leave me before I can stop them, and once they are out, I cannot take them back. He won't come for me. Whatever you think I mean to him, you're wrong. He reaches into his jacket and sets a gun on his knee like a man placing a remote on a coffee table. 10 minutes, he says. We give him 10 minutes to find this location. If he doesn't come, he glances at the gun. Then you were right, and it won't matter anymore. My hands shake against the zip ties. He presses dial. 1 ring. 2. Who is this? Tae-hyuk's voice fills the silence and something inside me fractures at the sound of it. The man holds the phone toward me. Ha-Jun. My voice is barely a whisper. I'm sorry. They made me call. You don't have to... Where are you? Not a question. Immediate. A warehouse. East side. I don't know exactly. I'm already moving. Keep talking. The man checks his watch. 10 minutes, he says loudly, for Tae-hyuk to hear. 9 minutes 50, Tae-hyuk says. And when I get there, every person in that room will wish they picked a different line of work. The call ends. The warehouse goes quiet. I count seconds because there is nothing else to do. 1 minute. 2. The men stop laughing. By minute 5, even the man in front of me has stopped looking relaxed. 8 minutes. 9. I close my eyes. I was right. I was right, and it doesn't matter anymore, and I am so... The door comes off its hinges. The sound is enormous, and Tae-hyuk walks through the space with 3 men behind him and an expression that makes every armed man in this warehouse take a step backward. What follows lasts 4 minutes. It is the most terrifying 4 minutes of my life. And through every precise and devastating thing I watch him do, he never once stops moving toward me. When it is over, he is kneeling in front of my chair, cutting the zip ties. His hands close around mine, warm, steady, but his eyes, when they find my face, are the most unsteady thing I have ever seen on this man. I told them you wouldn't come, I say. I know. I actually believed it. His jaw tightens. I know that too. He pulls me to my feet. My legs are unreliable, and his hand moves to my arm immediately. Why? I ask, just that one word. He looks at me for a long moment. There are things I need to tell you, he says. Things I should have told you 3 years ago. For the first time since I have known this man, I was ready to believe him. Chapter 10, Ha-Jun's point of view. We are sitting on the warehouse floor. Tae-hyuk talks. He tells me about Park Soo-young. He tells me about the rain, how his hand went into his jacket not because he felt nothing, but because he felt everything, and that terrified him more than any weapon. He tells me about the safe. Every letter, every photograph, every confession I ever sent him, kept, read, never answered. I was protecting you, he says. Every rejection, every cruel word. It was the only way I knew how to keep you alive. I listen to all of it. Then I break. Not quietly. The ugly kind that has been building for 3 years, an unrequited love, and a marriage that took every crack Tae-hyuk left in me and made them wider. Ha-Jun. Do you know what he said to me? My voice comes out wrecked. Every time I tried to stand up for myself, Minwoo told me I should be grateful, that I was damaged, that you not wanting me for 3 years was proof that something was wrong with me. I look at him, and I started believing it. That's what I can't get over. I actually started believing it. Tae-hyuk's jaw tightens. He looks like a man swallowing something that cost him enormously. You were never the problem, he says. You were never damaged. You were the only thing in my life I was ever actually afraid of losing. I look at him for a long time. I believe you, I say. My voice breaks. I need time. I need to find out who I am without all of this, without chasing you, without Minwoo's voice in my head telling me I'm not worth loving. I exhale. I need to find that out by myself. He nods. No argument, no negotiation. Take whatever time you need, he says. I'll be here. 6 months later, I file for divorce. Minwoo doesn't fight it. He signs the papers with the same calm pleasantness he does everything and says nothing except, I hope he was worth it. I say nothing back. Some things don't deserve a response. I spend those 6 months in therapy, in my studio, in long conversations with Young Ho that go until 2 in the morning. I rebuild slowly. I learned the difference between loving someone and losing myself inside them. I learned that 3 years of rejection was never a verdict on my worth. I learned that I was always enough. On a Thursday evening, 6 months after the truth finally spoken out loud, my phone lights up. Tae Hyuk. One message. Still here. I stare at it for a long time. Then I smile, for the first time in longer than I can remember. A real one. I type back. I know. The man who once rejected my love was now chasing me. But the greatest lesson wasn't learning how to be loved. It was learning that I was always worthy of love in the first place.
The end. Hi, viewers. If this story moved you, if you have ever loved someone who was too afraid to love you back, or stayed somewhere that made you forget your own worth, drop a comment right now and tell me which chapter hit you the hardest. And if you are new here, follow along because there is so much more where this came from. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. You are always worthy. Don't let anyone, not fear, not rejection, not a beautiful prison, convince you otherwise.